Adam Munsterteiger, the publisher of BuffStampede.com, and I'm pleased to again be joined by Jeremy Bloom. Jeremy, I enjoyed having our chat back a couple months back when you were talking about wish of a lifetime, and the efforts that you had put forth there. And we got to get into your experience at Folsom Field with Riley, because I really want to get into that. But in case for those listening have been living under a rock, you know that Jeremy Bloom has been named the new CEO of the X Games. That announcement was made back in December. Jeremy, first off, it's great to see you again. Congrats on this new role.
Thank you. It's sort of surreal to be back in sports. For those that might not know my sports background, football, skiing, those were the two sports, and was so lucky to be able to play both at a professional level. But really, a lot of people may not know, for the last 13 years, I've been in tech as a CEO and founder of what became an enterprise software company. And so, after 13 years deeply immersed building, products and enterprise software in a company, and sort of seeing all the phases of growth from an idea on a whiteboard to $0 of revenue to over 9 figures of revenue was pretty remarkable. And I thought that maybe I was just destined to be in enterprise software my whole career. But when this opportunity came up to go run the X Games, I mean, how could you turn an opportunity down like that, especially with the new owners of X Games and the vision to turn this into a global action sports league in 2026, and just work for these athletes that, these are the best athletes in the world, and what they do, nobody else can do. And so to sort of wake up every day and use our collective energy and creativity as a staff to build the biggest platform for these athletes, sort of a dream come true.
Well, first off, I want to say that you were the perfect man for this job. I don't think there's anybody that could do a better job stepping into this role as CEO of the X Games, given just your background and your impact on the world of sports. The first X Games were back in 1995. In the past 30 years, do you have some experiences, some impressions that you've built up over the X Games over those years?
Yeah, there's so many iconic memories and moments. I was 13 or 14 around the time that the X Games was birthed. And so I was old enough to have, emotional memories to some of those experiences, including Tony Hawk's 900. Those that are of a certain age, everybody remembers that moment when he landed the 900 in the super pipe for the first time. I remember Travis Pastrana jumping his motorcycle into the bay in San Francisco. That was such an iconic memory. And Brian Deegan, who sort of was the protagonist in the X Games and brought so much appeal and interest and a competitive force. And then in the winter side, Levi LaValle, doing a backflip on a snowmobile in Aspen. that was totally insane. And then look what Shaun White became. Started in the X Games and went on to win lots of X Games gold medals and obviously lots of Olympic gold medals as well. So it's an absolute iconic brand that's filled with 30 years of nostalgia of athletes pushing the envelope and doing things that otherwise human beings would have thought would be impossible. So it's pretty special to be here.
You talked about making the X Games more global. Touch on that a little bit more. Like right now, how many events take place in a given year with the X Games, and what is kind of your vision for things going forward?
I mean, historically, the model has been 2 events per year. Now,
Yeah.
it's fluctuated a little bit, but that's been the model. But in 2026, we're going to go to 8 cities around the world, 4 in the winter, 4 in the summer. In fact, at the end of this year, we're going to have the world's first action sports draft, because we're creating a team sport, team environment in action sports, which I think, both as the CEO of X Games, but also putting my hat on as an athlete, that spent his entire career around action sports. I think it's the coolest idea ever. And it's fun to see our current athletes, how excited they are about this. But we're bringing on team owners. So we're selling teams right now. So you'll have a team in LA and a team in Denver. The owners will pick where they want to tether their team around. And they'll have an opportunity to pick 10 athletes in the winter and then 10 athletes in the summer, 2 different drafts. and then we'll see who the team champion is at the end of the year. And I think it's worth noting that the owners of X Games, MSP Capital, also own the controlling interest of McLaren F1. And so for the past 7 years, they've seen the transformation of F1. It's like the hottest sports league in the
Yeah.
world right now. And they helped usher in sort of this team sport environment. And, so they've seen firsthand how cool it can be and the value creation that can happen. And, building a global brand. So to some extent, we're running a similar playbook.
You are a forever buff, and we like to look out for our own. I'm curious, Jeremy, just on a personal level, what does this look like for you? You mentioned that you're transitioning from tech to this new role. What does life look like for you?
Pretty busy. Pretty. In fact, my assistant Megan, who's been we've been together for 15 years, and so she sort of knows how I think and can guess how I'm going to feel about something before it happens. She's like, if you want to put another meeting on your calendar, it's got to be on the weekend, or we have to cancel something. So for the next 3 weeks, it's look, it's been a 24-hour job since I got here. I think I'm 45 or 50 days officially in the role as CEO. And it is around the clock, but just like in football, when I was trying to get to the NFL, or skiing as I was trying to get to the Olympics, or building my own company and just trying to survive, make payroll, because building a company is really hard, especially in those early days. I'm passionate about this, so it doesn't feel like work. Um, I love it. A lot of great challenges we're solving, but there's just not enough time in the day.
So, in this new role, when you encounter folks that are kind of fringe people that have tuned into X Games, or kind of have this intrigue into like what this can become, what would you tell them about the experience of what they would have if they went to an X Game event in person?
You get to see athletes doing things that defy gravity, that defy physics, that defy what people thought was possible. Even the world's best thought was possible just 4 years ago. These athletes continue to push the progression envelope and put their bodies at risk to do so. It's also a fun party environment. We're bringing music back. We have four great DJs, big DJs, including Dead Mouse, in Aspen, that our fans love. And so it's the integration between action sports and music that has always been a beautiful thing. But X Games has gotten away from that a bit in the past, and we're bringing that back. And I would note that we love our fans, and we have such passionate fans about these sports, about these athletes, about our brand. We're totally sold out in Aspen. We don't have a single ticket left, including like all the reserves. I mean, we want everybody to be able to come there. We got to figure out ways to build bigger venues, because we want accessibility. We want anybody who wants to participate and watch us to be able to do so. And so we're reimagining what our events could look like. And maybe there's a way for folks to not have to buy a ticket, before the gate, and have an X Games sort of experience. And as we start to build out for summer X Games, we're starting to think about those things, because we have the great benefit of having a lot of very passionate X Games fans around the world.
From your view, what can really grow the X Games to reach kind of your initial vision taken over?
I think first is making them more, like, the format more interesting. I think when you watch X Games of the past, it's sort of 15 years on linear TV, 15 hours on linear TV. And sometimes it can just look like it's practice, really cool practice. They're doing cool stuff, but we're really curious about what changes could we make to find our sort of Tiger Woods wearing red on a Sunday moment, where you just have to tune in. And so one thing we're experimenting in Aspen is the concept of playoffs and super finals. And so, like, on a Friday, you'll have all the qualifications, then the field will get shrunk down. And then on Sunday, you'll have a super final where you crown all the champions across all the sports and disciplines in a small period of time. And instead of three chances to win X Games gold, maybe you only get two, and maybe eventually you only get one. So I think that's part of it. Making the casual fan understand the scoring better is also critical. We want everybody tuning in. If you're a sports fan, even if you don't know the skateboarders or the BMX riders, or in case in Aspen, the skiers or snowboarders, we want to appeal to a broader audience. And we think the simplification of how we judge, how we score, what these tricks mean, how we talk about them, is another path to be able to do that.
Before I let you go, Jeremy, and like you said, you're very busy, but I got to ask you about the Buffs, and I got to go back to that game that you hosted Riley, a 72-year-old diehard CU fan that had season tickets for a long time, came upon health issues, was able to attend a game at CU at Folsom Field for the Utah game. What was that experience like?
That was incredible. Wish of a Lifetime is a charity that I started almost 17 years ago. Hard to believe, but we grant wishes to 80, 90, and 100-year-old people. We're granting nearly one wish per day. It's been the most meaningful journey in my life and get to meet the most incredible people like Riley. But one of the reasons that wish was so special, for the first time in 17 years, we had a wish at Folsom Field. And so to sort of integrate my love for Wish of a Lifetime, the work that we're doing, and of course, my deep love for CU football and Folsom Field. It was a full circle moment for me. And, Riley will tell you it was one of the best days of his life. Coach Prime even gave him his own hat. Like Coach Prime took the hat off from the sideline and gave it to Riley. He was recognized before the game, as you know, in front of all the fans. And
Yeah,
it was a bit of an out of body experience for him and a very special day for all of us.
that's awesome. And that's great to hear that that all went well. And then Travis Hunter goes out to New York, wins the Heisman Trophy. And at the end of his speech, which was amazing, very heartfelt, he put up the horns, the Buff horns, and said, "Sco Buffs." As a forever Buff, what did that feel like to watch that?
Just totally surreal, almost unbelievable. I mean, the last 2 years have been almost unbelievable, I think, for all of us that have been paying attention, because 2.5 years ago, and we don't want to belabor the past too much, but 2.5, 3 years ago, we were irrelevant, and at worst, we were a laughing stock. And if Coach Prime doesn't come to Boulder, my personal view is Colorado's not accepted into the Big 12. I don't know what conference we're in, but given our sort of performance those subsequent years before Carl Durrell, I don't know where we would fit in, and if we would fit in. So just grateful to Coach Prime and the energy and everything he's brought to this program, including Travis Hunter, who's not just the Heisman Trophy winner, but one of the greatest human beings I've ever met, just as a human being. So just incredible stuff. As you know, Adam, you've had a front row seat to all of that. And, for all of us that love Colorado and love the Buffaloes and certainly love the football program, we're just grateful.
And like you, I'm sure we're all anxious to get that contract extension done, right?
I know, man. Fingers crossed, toes crossed, all those types of things. And, anything happens in sports, and coaches
Yeah.
do come and go. And even when they love something, sometimes they go. And I just have found peace with it. If he ends up going some other opportunity, it's better for him. My feelings on him won't change. The same amount of gratitude I will have for him, and I won't begrudge no matter what he decides to do. But I really, really hope that he stays in Boulder and we can have some more years of this excitement.
I think it's going to get done soon. So hopefully that
So,
angst disappears pretty soon. Lastly, here, Jeremy, before I let you go, what, if anything, can Buffs fans, since you are a forever Buff and everybody wants to support you, what is there any way they can help you as the CEO of the X Games?
I mean, look, we're thinking about a lot of different ways to improve the experience, improve our events, improve the brand. We're thinking about sport expansion. What are some other sports that we should expand into, adjacent sports? Some that have perhaps never been part of the X Games, and others that have been part of the fabric but not currently. So that's one way. Folks have ideas. We're all ears to what folks think that might be. Come to our events and support our athletes, and just be part of the brand.
Awesome. Jeremy, always great to catch up with you. I don't know if the Eagles game is ended yet, but I got to let you get back to that.
It's
And
on right now. Let's
it's
do
on
this.
right now. All right. I'll
Yeah.
let you go. Appreciate you as always.